Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Potentially seismic shift in this year's Rostermania landscape, with Nadeshot and FormaL discussing the possibility of FormaL's return to competitive Call of Duty for Black Ops 6. If he does want to come back though, OpTic Texas isn't really an option. They just won the World Championship, so Nadeshot says not only is the door open to Los Angeles Thieves, but actually FormaL would straight up get the keys to decide anything he wants with their roster. FormaL seemed relatively keen to potentially take up this opportunity. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into today. First of all, this one, right? The OpTic Gaming, as it has been for some time, headquarters, formerly the Envy headquarters, in the heart of downtown Dallas, as we full well know. And, well, here it was when it was Envy Gaming. Then it became OpTic, of course, over the last couple of years. Now they did the merger, and OpTic basically took over all the branding. That is now going to go, right? I mean, they're going to call it a day here. Like, this has been coming for some time. This is pretty sure literally right next door to the American Airlines Center, and OpTic are going to be returning effectively full-time to the Hex quarters, which is, you know, north of Dallas, Frisco way. I believe because they simply don't need the amount of space that this headquarters had on offer. If you guys have ever seen, you know, tours of it, the offices, the amount of space they've had, like the Crimsix and the other boys on a go-kart doing laps of the place, like it didn't really seem a necessity to keep it, I guess, and I imagine they were renting it for probably a relatively reasonable amount of money. So seems like the days of the OpTic headquarters in downtown Dallas are over, and yeah, kind of an end of an era in some ways, but probably from a business POV makes a fair bit of sense. Envy and many other organizations had insane VC capital flowing in 2019, 2020, 2021. That ain't really the case anymore, and Envy is still kind of there in the background with OpTic, but it's effectively not OpTic for some time. And, you know, I imagine that if HyDra is still involved in some of these decisions, which I hope that he is, then they may have mutually agreed, HyDra and Hex, that probably makes a bit of sense to move on at this point. Couple of other things, I know that Kenny was also replying to this tweet from Jake Hale, talking about the fact that Kenny could be, and well, he says should be, a 3-time world champion. This is, I guess, because Team Caliber lost in the grand finals of that year's world championship in 2018, Kenny's first year in the league, to what is considered in hindsight really to be the biggest like fluke win ever. If you run that tournament 100 times, I don't know how many times EG win, but it's probably not that many. If you guys remember, they literally had to 3-0 OpTic in groups to even get to the bracket. Any other result wouldn't have worked. That's exactly what they did. They eventually make the run all the way to the finals and win the entire thing. So, you know, X was in the replies kind of saying, like, what do you mean he should have won instead? But I think Kenny was also replying to this and kind of saying, oh yeah, tough, because Kenny could have already been a 3-time or even a 4-time world champion, because he also lost in the Champs Grand Finals in 2019 on 100 Thieves to E United. But let's talk about this FormaL situation, right? Because it's been a discussion point here in the community for some time. FormaL's effectively getting ready for the Halo, you know, towards the end of the Halo season. They just had the Atlanta event. There's the Salt Lake City event, I'm pretty sure, coming up soon. Then there's the World Championship in October time. And after that, FormaL has, well, not made it absolutely 100% clear, but he has said pretty much outright that, yeah, he's going to call it a day in Halo at that point, which makes a lot of sense. He retired from COD back in 2021, has done 3 years of Halo. There isn't really great support for the Halo competitive scene. The new game's a while away. I think it makes a lot of sense for FormaL to say, you know what, now's the time that I'm going to step away from Halo with all that he's achieved over the last couple of years. And it's not worth easily forgetting the fact that FormaL went from being an unbelievable player in COD to not quite the player that he was before, when he was falling out of love with the game and the online cheese and everything for those couple of years, straight into Halo, and has been, you know, top 10 player easily in Halo over the last several years, MVPs at times, multiple championship wins, including, you know, last year's second place at Champs, and the year before they actually won it, of course, in 2022. So FormaL is an unbelievably talented FPS player, and I would say is still the greatest like controller FPS player of all time. Shotzzy's getting very close. I'm not gonna lie right now, maybe Shotzzy already takes the cake. For me, I would still say FormaL, but as a result, if FormaL is ever in the conversation to potentially make a return to something, someone, probably someone rather notable, is going to give him a good opportunity, right? Because FormaL is FormaL at the end of the day, and whether you think that FormaL would be good enough anymore, that is a matter for debate. Would FormaL be able to come back to Call of Duty and be a top 10 player again? That's a big question, I would say, but it's certainly, I would say, possible if FormaL's absolutely committed, likes the game, and looking to grind the game. I would not rule that possibility out at all. But the question has been, if FormaL does want to come back, because he's kind of teased it, he's kind of hinted at it, and said that he wants to have a think about returning for Black Ops 6. It is a trade game after all. There's going to be lots of temptation to potentially do so, but OpTic, that's not an option, right? They're not making a change. If OpTic had bombed out of champs, maybe there was a chance there. But as it stands, he's not going to go to OpTic Texas because they have a team that just won champs. So then the question was, if FormaL does want to come back, where else is a possibility for him? You're looking at teams like Toronto. Toronto would actually be really interesting, right? Like, would Scrappy say, you know what, Jamie, Insight, on your bike, I'm getting FormaL in? Would New York think about it? You know, you're looking at those other top teams and thinking, maybe there's an outside chance, but I would say the more likely option is, to be fair, a team like the Los Angeles Thieves. You look at their roster from this season, Ghosty ain't going anywhere, at least as far as they are concerned. If Ghosty, as we've talked about, gets the FaZe offer and tells Nadeshot, hey, I've got this offer, I want to leave, I don't think they're going to hold him to his contract, although they may, and he may not be happy about it. It is what it is. Well, I guess time will tell on that. But what about the FormaL thing? Because I said the other day on the Dope Check show that if I was forming this new Thieves squad, I would probably bring Slasher in alongside Ghosty. I think that AR duo works really well, and then figure out the SMGs after that. Maybe you keep JoeDeceives, maybe you don't, and then you kind of work the SMG duo maybe with Nero or somebody else from there. But FormaL is also another potentially excellent candidate as well. So let me just share a couple of minutes here of them talking about this, because Nadeshot is adamant, and sure, he's probably been hitting the Benjamin, but still, he's obviously saying, look, I'm not lying to you, Matt. This is what we're going to do, and if you're down, like, let's have a conversation.
Life. Yo, hey, deadass though, what's up with all this? Everybody been asking, Black Ops 6.
You guys got room on your roster or what?
You could literally, I swear on everything that is holy in this world, FormaL, if you wanted to play for LA Thieves, I would make it happen immediately.
Really?
Immediately, bro. You step right back into Call of Duty. I don't give a fuck when nobody tells me at LA Thieves, saying, oh, the GM, Brandon's our fucking dog. That's my brother. But it would be the only time that I would veto anybody's position saying that they're paid to do this and they need to let them do their job the right way. I'm telling them it's wrong. And get FormaL
like
on the...
This?
Yeah. It's locked. It's when you just say the word.
You have good taste, my friend.
All right.
Dead ass.
I like all of that. I gotta like rework your roster a little bit though.
You could have the fucking keys to the kingdom, brother.
Okay, there we go. That's all I need to hear.
But I do think that my boys kind of turned up this year, so I got to put in a good word for them. I know that this thing.
I think Ghosty's good.
All right, Krem's nasty too. Nasty's pretty nasty, and so is JoeDeceives. You know, but you can express your opinions in private when I'm not put in this position. But if you want back on, bro, you're in. LA Thieves, book it, bro. You can stay on OpTic with Hector, but you got to rock LAT while you're playing first. That's all I ask.
Okay.
Done.
Okay. Say less.
I mean, I'm not trolling, and I am 100% dead serious.
I believe it. Like everything I'm hearing.
Okay. Keep that in the back of your mind.
I will. I will.
We will blitz all night to the day they remember the Titans. LA Thieves. I don't want them to gain another yard.
Good shot.
You think I'm clip farming? I'm being dead fucking serious.
No, you're being serious.
I'll take a lie detector right now. Y'all don't understand. I don't give a fuck if this guy hasn't played COD for 4 or 5 fucking years. In 3 months, bro, he'll be top 10 in the league. It's a guarantee. I've seen it. I watched him play Ghost. This man literally was sticking his ass, a figure up his ass on Halo Reach and all this shit. Just decided to play Call of Duty on a whim, and this motherfucker was gunning me with a Vector cross-map Warhawk Blitz. I said, uh-oh, we're going to have to get this guy on the team. Or I'm out of the job.
Okay.
I'm locked.
Okay.
Oh, I think I just hit flow, brother.
Enemy spotted A. Reload.
Oh my god, if I would have hit that, I would have walked out.
2 upper. Or 2 on top of short, whatever.
No peek.
I'm not locked anymore.
So FormaL is FormaL, right? Nadeshot knows that full well, played with him back in the day, won championships with him back in the day. But, you know, as he says, look, let's have a convo about the roster. I like my boys, but look, Matt, if you want to make the decisions, you can make the decisions. And as FormaL says, well, Ghosty's good. Ghosty's good. So pretty much saying, yeah, I'll keep Dan, but outside of that, I probably ain't keeping all that many other players if FormaL's acting as, you know, the leader / general manager of the roster. Ghosty, I thought, was a very funny reply here, though. The keys to FormaL? Like, what do you mean? Now I'm definitely going to FaZe. Hashtag FaZe up. So, great tweet here from Dan. Great impression farming. Massively appreciate it. But, look, here he goes again. So, Ghosty FormaL. I mean, how about that? Assuming this is just a bit of a joke. What about FormaL's decision on the matter? Might he think about it? This I thought was like kind of interesting as well. So in the replies here, you've got Frosty, another legend of multiple FPS scenes, certainly Halo right now, but obviously he plays Call of Duty as well back in MW19 to great success on Florida Mutineers that year, and has been talking about Frosty doing the same thing, trying to make a comeback to Call of Duty for Black Ops 6, and FormaL has at least hinted that he's at least thinking about it as well. So maybe Frosty's like, hey, what about this duo teaming up on Los Angeles Thieves? And to be fair, if you're Thieves, you've got to try and find a way to get back to winning championships, right? I think this is the interesting point to me. If you're Thieves, you're looking at the OpTic team. You're looking at the Subliners team, the Toronto team, the FaZe team, and you're thinking, well, how do we get back to that point, right? A couple of years ago, Thieves had Kenny, Drazah, Octane, Envoy. Can they easily get back to players of that caliber? Not really. I mean, look, they've got Ghosty now, and they need to lock Ghosty down, absolutely. But there are other players, the other players that would be available, are not necessarily going to get them back to winning championships. So that's when I think you've got to think a little bit outside the box. Looking at FormaL, looking at Frosty, players like this that are interested in potentially coming back to COD, that is an angle you might want to look for. And obviously Attacher's kind of joking around with Ghosty as well here in the replies. So what do we think about this possibility? I thought this is pretty funny as well. The comms of a FormaL Ghosty duo would be godlike. Pick up HyDra and aBeZy to pair with them. And Jake L's like, yeah, also sign Mahomes as quarterback, right? Because this ain't gonna happen, respectfully. But there's no doubt that it would be an excellent place to start, right? So if you're FormaL, what do you think about this? Because if there's any one team I think that FormaL would potentially look to play for, and OpTic might be happy with him playing for on some level, it might be Thieves. Just because of the whole, you know, Nadeshot relationship, right? Like, if FormaL was to leave OpTic or, like, try and get... Because he obviously wants to stay on OpTic, and I think long-term FormaL will always be part of OpTic, but, you know, he might say to Hex, hey, you know, could you loan me? I'll still be a content creator here, but I'll be loaned out to this Call of Duty team for the season. If that's like a Toronto or a New York or something, like, it doesn't maybe feel right. But if it's Thieves, given it's Nadeshot, even if it is a direct competitor, although this season, obviously, they've been a little bit weaker than they have been for the last few years, maybe there's a world they make that work, and if FormaL really wants to do it, potentially they can actually make that happen, right? Obviously, OpTic fans are still going to want OpTic to win, but it might be kind of cool, right, to see FormaL play for Nadeshot's team in Call of Duty. The first question is, does FormaL actually want to return? Is he committed to the return, or committed to being, like, the best version of himself that he could possibly be back in Call of Duty? If he is, then I think you do it. For sure, if you're Los Angeles Thieves and Nadeshot. Obviously, Scump saying, hey, Nades, like, come on, are we serious right now? But also, if you are FormaL and you actually do this, and also in that case, right, let's say you're Ghosty and FaZe are coming knocking, but if Nadeshot phones you up and says, hey, FormaL's going to be your AR duo and we're going to build a team from there, Ghosty's probably like, you know what, Simp? I'm actually kind of down to stay where I am. Or he might think the opposite, depending how he kind of perceives the FormaL situation to be. And also, if Ghosty were to leave, then, like, they'd definitely be wanting FormaL, wouldn't they? Because they'd need, like, a talismanic AR figure, if you even want to put it in that perspective. So, also, what do you do from the SMG standpoint, right? Nastie, I actually think, is a really solid player. He actually also can run a sub, so you might want to think about that. Kremp, personally, I think is a bit too inconsistent. JoeDeceives has been good, but maybe not good enough. But then where else do you look, right? So this is where the possibilities are being talked about, but very much into your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.